If you've ever forgotten where you placed your glasses, or walked into a room and couldn't remember why you went in there, take a deep breath. That's a normal part of getting older. But if you've started finding your glasses in the refrigerator, or you can't remember the name of your grandchild, or you suddenly get lost in your own neighborhood, that's not just aging. That could be the early warning signs of something much more serious. Today, we're talking about dementia, and more specifically, the 10 early signs of dementia you should never ignore. I know this is a tough topic. For many people, the idea of losing memory or independence is terrifying. And because it's scary, we don't talk about it. We brush it off. We say, "Oh, I'm just getting old." But deep down, we worry. Here's the truth. According to the World Health Organization, more than 55 million people around the world are living with dementia right now. And every single year, nearly 10 million new people are diagnosed. That's one new case every 3 seconds. But here's what most people don't know. Dementia doesn't start suddenly. It doesn't arrive like a lightning bolt. It creeps in, quietly, gradually, like fog rolling over a hillside. And by the time it's obvious, a lot of time may have been lost. But there's good news. Catching dementia early gives you options. It gives families time to plan. It gives doctors the opportunity to slow the process. And it gives you, or your loved one, a better chance at a better quality of life. So in this video, we're going to walk you through the 10 most common early signs of dementia. Some of them are subtle. Some of them are mistaken for stress, depression, or just aging. But all of them are signs you should take seriously. And we'll explain each one in plain, simple language. We'll share real-life examples. We'll show you what's normal and what's not. And we'll talk about what you can actually do as a senior, as a caregiver, or just someone who cares. Because dementia isn't just about forgetting. It affects how we think, how we make decisions, how we interact with the people we love. And when caught early, it can be managed far better than most people realize. Now, maybe you're here because you've noticed changes in yourself, or maybe someone in your family is acting a little differently. They're more forgetful, they're repeating things, they seem confused or anxious or withdrawn, and you're starting to wonder, is this just aging, or is it something more? You are not alone, and you are not powerless. The earlier we recognize the signs of dementia, the more we can do to support, to treat, and to protect those we care about most. So here's what we'll cover in this video. First, the 10 early warning signs of dementia, broken down clearly. Second, a bonus section where we explain the difference between normal forgetfulness and dangerous memory loss. And finally, a hopeful conclusion with real tips, resources, and next steps you can take right now. And just one more thing. This isn't a video meant to scare you. It's a video meant to empower you. Because knowledge is power. And when it comes to dementia, knowing the signs early could make all the difference. So please, grab a notepad if you'd like. Listen closely. And most importantly, if you recognize any of these signs in yourself or someone you love, don't wait. Have the conversation. Make the appointment. Get the help you need. You'll be glad you did. Let's begin with the first early warning sign. Memory loss that disrupts daily life. Section 1. Memory loss that disrupts daily life. Memory loss is one of the most common and noticeable early signs of dementia. But this isn't your everyday forgetfulness. We all occasionally forget names or misplace our phone. What's different here is the frequency and severity. This memory loss starts interfering with day-to-day living. For example, a person might repeatedly forget important dates or events, ask the same questions several times, or rely heavily on memory aids or family members to remember basic tasks. It's not just forgetting a birthday, it's forgetting you even spoke to your daughter an hour ago and asking why she hasn't called. In early dementia, short-term memory tends to go first. Long-term memories may remain intact for a while, but remembering what happened 20 minutes ago can become a challenge. You might also notice the person becomes confused or agitated when they can't recall something that seems obvious to others. A major red flag is denial or cover-up. People may realize they're forgetting more than usual and try to hide it, creating a false sense of security for those around them. The key difference between normal aging and dementia-related memory loss is this. With normal aging, you may forget but later remember. With dementia, the memory often vanishes entirely. If you're noticing these changes, it's time to gently suggest a medical evaluation. Catching dementia early can help the person live independently longer and benefit from treatment and support. Section 2. Difficulty performing familiar tasks. Another sign of early dementia is struggling to complete everyday tasks that were once routine. These aren't new or complicated tasks. They're familiar things the person has done for years, like making coffee, managing bills, or following a favorite recipe. What used to be second nature now becomes confusing or overwhelming. The person might forget steps in a process, mix things up, or abandon the task halfway through. For example, they might prepare cereal but forget to add milk, or set out ingredients to cook but not remember what to do next. This confusion extends beyond chores. People may struggle to use a remote control, follow game rules they once enjoyed, or drive to a familiar location and get lost along the way. These moments can feel embarrassing and often lead to frustration, anxiety, or withdrawal. It's important to note the difference between distraction and cognitive decline. We all have days where we're preoccupied and forget a step. But when a person is consistently confused by tasks they've mastered in the past, it's a sign something more serious could be developing. Caregivers can support by simplifying routines, labeling steps, or assisting gently. If the person resists help, it's often because they sense their own decline and are afraid to admit it. Don't ignore the signs. If you notice someone struggling with once familiar activities, it's time to explore whether dementia might be the cause. Section 3. Trouble with language or communication. In the early stages of dementia, people often struggle with language. They may forget simple words, substitute the wrong ones, or lose track of what they're saying mid-sentence. You might hear things like the hand clock instead of watch, or that thing you sit on instead of chair. These aren't isolated slip-ups. Over time, they become more frequent and disruptive. The person may stop joining conversations because they can't follow what others are saying, or they may get visibly frustrated trying to express themselves. This breakdown in communication also affects reading and writing. They may abandon reading books they once loved, forget how to spell common words, or write sentences that no longer make sense. Even texting or emailing may become confusing and difficult to manage. Another clue is repetition. A person may tell the same story several times in one conversation or ask the same question over and over again, not realizing they've already said it. These changes can isolate a person socially. They might withdraw from friends or avoid phone calls and gatherings because communicating feels exhausting or embarrassing. Be patient and supportive. Let them finish their thoughts. Don't rush or correct too often, and try to keep conversations calm and simple. If someone close to you is having persistent trouble with words, understanding speech, or following conversations, it could be an early signal of dementia that warrants professional attention. Section 4. Disorientation with time or place. It's normal to forget what day it is once in a while, but in dementia, a person can become completely disoriented, not just about the day, but the month, year, or even where they are. This confusion can show up in small ways at first. They may ask what day it is multiple times in one morning, or forget whether it's morning or night. But as the disease progresses, this disorientation becomes more severe. Someone may insist they're late for work, even though they've been retired for years. Or they might get lost in familiar places, like their neighborhood or grocery store. Perhaps most concerning is wandering behavior. A person may leave the house for a walk and not know how to return. Some may think they're living in a different time or place altogether, asking for parents who passed away long ago, or believing they're still living in a childhood home. These episodes aren't just scary, they're dangerous. Disorientation puts a person at high risk of accidents, falls, and getting lost. To help, families should consider installing visual cues around the home, using digital clocks that display date and time, and establishing consistent daily routines. But above all, if someone starts losing track of time, location, or why they're in a place, it's time to speak with a healthcare provider. This type of confusion is a hallmark of dementia, and the sooner it's addressed, the safer and more supported the person can be. Section 5. Poor or decreased judgment. One of the less obvious but highly dangerous early signs of dementia is a noticeable decline in judgment and decision-making. This might show up as giving large sums of money to strangers, falling for scams, or ignoring important health problems. A person may dress inappropriately for the weather, wearing a winter coat in summer or sandals in the snow. They may neglect grooming, hygiene, or even forget to eat regular meals. Often, these decisions are not intentional. They're the result of the brain's declining ability to assess risk, evaluate options, and understand consequences. And that can be devastating, especially when the person is still trusted to manage finances or medications. Poor judgment can also cause tension in relationships. A once trusting parent may become suspicious and accuse loved ones of theft. Or a person may insist on driving despite clear signs they're no longer safe behind the wheel. Family members should watch for patterns. Are bills going unpaid? Are they being unusually generous with strangers? Are they making risky choices they wouldn't have made before? Approach these situations gently. Offer to help review bills, accompany them to appointments, or suggest working as a team to handle important tasks. If you're noticing repeated poor choices that are out of character, especially involving safety or money, don't ignore them. It could be the brain's way of signaling the early stages of dementia. Section 6. Difficulty with planning or problem solving. Struggling with tasks that require planning or problem solving is another early indicator of dementia. This isn't just about forgetting things. It's about the brain losing its ability to think through steps, organize thoughts, or handle numbers in ways that once came naturally. You may notice a person who once managed household finances with ease now misses bill payments or gets confused by a bank statement. A simple task like following a recipe becomes overwhelming. They skip steps, mix up measurements, or abandon the process halfway through. Even everyday decisions like planning a trip to the store or organizing a medicine schedule can become sources of anxiety or confusion. People with early dementia may also show difficulty with abstract thinking. They might struggle to follow a conversation that shifts topics or find it impossible to adapt when something unexpected happens, like the power going out or needing to take a detour on the road. Unlike normal aging, which may slow decision-making slightly, dementia causes breakdowns in logic. The person may seem unsure, easily flustered, or frozen in the face of simple problems. Support them by breaking tasks into smaller steps, using visual reminders, and offering help without taking over. Be patient. It's not laziness. Their brain is working harder than it should. If you notice someone consistently having trouble with multi-step activities or basic planning tasks they once managed easily, it's time to talk to a doctor. This kind of decline is not part of normal aging. It's often one of the first cognitive abilities to be affected by dementia. Section 7. Misplacing items and losing the ability to retrace steps. Everyone misplaces things from time to time. But with dementia, it's not just about losing items. It's about putting them in odd places and not being able to retrace steps to find them. It's finding your keys in the microwave, the TV remote in the freezer, or your wallet under the bathroom sink. At first, these may seem like funny mistakes, but when they happen frequently, and the person insists someone else moved or stole the item, it's often a sign of deeper confusion. As dementia progresses, people may start accusing loved ones of theft or sabotage, not out of spite, but because they truly cannot remember where they placed the object. The inability to backtrack and find misplaced items is a significant marker. In normal forgetfulness, you might forget where something is, but eventually recall where you had it last. In dementia, that connection disappears completely, and the person may not even remember they had the item to begin with. This behavior can lead to frustration, paranoia, and tension in the home. It can also become dangerous, especially when medications, important documents, or house keys are involved. If you notice a pattern of misplaced objects in unusual places, and especially if it leads to confusion or accusations, it's time to seek professional evaluation. You can also help by designating safe zones for essential items, like a bowl near the door for keys or labeled drawers for bills and medications. These simple steps may ease anxiety and reduce risk, but ultimately, the consistent misplacement of items is a neurological red flag that should not be ignored. Section 8. Mood and personality changes. Perhaps one of the most painful and confusing early signs of dementia is a noticeable change in personality or mood. You may see a once cheerful person become anxious, irritable, or withdrawn. A confident individual may suddenly appear unsure, fearful, or emotionally fragile. These changes aren't just about bad days. They often seem out of character and occur without clear reason. A person may become suspicious of loved ones, accuse others of lying or stealing, or react with anger to small inconveniences. Mood swings may become unpredictable. Someone may cry for no reason or lash out unexpectedly. Often, these shifts reflect the person's internal awareness that something is wrong. They may not fully understand what's happening, but they feel it. That emotional distress can manifest as frustration, fear, or even depression. In some types of dementia, like frontotemporal dementia, personality changes can appear before memory loss. A kind and empathetic person might suddenly become blunt, socially inappropriate, or apathetic. This can be especially jarring for families who feel as though their loved one is becoming a stranger. Support means more than reminding them of facts. It means responding with compassion, not correction. If they're upset or confused, focus less on logic and more on reassurance. Your calm presence can ease their anxiety, even when words can't. If personality changes are persistent and unlike the person's usual self, it's not just aging. It's a reason to investigate further, and possibly one of the clearest early signs of dementia. Section 9. Withdrawal from social activities. It's normal to slow down a bit with age, but withdrawing from social activities, work, or hobbies a person once loved is a red flag, especially if there's no clear reason. In early dementia, people often begin isolating themselves. They might stop going to church, miss family gatherings, avoid phone calls, or give up on reading or watching TV. Why? Because staying socially engaged takes mental energy. Conversations move quickly, jokes fly, memories are expected. And for someone struggling with memory, speech, or comprehension, that pressure becomes overwhelming. So instead of facing the embarrassment or confusion, they simply step back. Sometimes the person can't explain why they're withdrawing. They might say they're tired or just not feeling up to it. But behind those words is often a mix of anxiety, fear of failure, and shame. Isolation worsens cognitive decline. Human interaction keeps the brain active. When someone pulls away from others, they lose that vital stimulation, leading to a faster progression of symptoms. Support your loved one by offering low-pressure social contact. A quiet visit, a favorite game, or even just sitting together can make a difference. Don't push large gatherings, but do keep reaching out. If someone you care about is becoming less involved in the world, don't write it off as slowing down. It could be a coping mechanism for early dementia. Section 10. Problems with visual or spatial relationships. The final early sign many people overlook involves visual and spatial challenges. It's not about poor eyesight. It's about the brain misinterpreting what the eyes see. Someone might have 20/20 vision, but still misjudge distances, struggle with contrast, or bump into furniture they've walked past for years. They may hesitate at doorways or stairs because the brain sees them as holes or steps that aren't there. A dark rug might look like a pit. They may spill drinks, misplace items, or seem clumsy not because they're weak or careless, but because their spatial awareness is deteriorating. This can be dangerous, especially when driving. People with dementia may misjudge traffic distances, fail to recognize stop signs, or get overwhelmed by fast-moving environments. It can also affect reading, following directions, or even recognizing faces. The person may look directly at you and not realize you're their daughter or husband. That confusion can lead to hurt feelings, but it's not personal. It's neurological. Help by improving lighting, minimizing clutter, and making spaces more predictable. Use contrasting colors to define edges and surfaces. Remove tripping hazards and simplify environments. If your loved one seems to struggle with coordination, reading, or visual tasks they once handled with ease, it may be more than aging. It could be the brain's way of saying, I need help. Know the signs, take action, protect your future. We've now walked through the 10 early warning signs of dementia, plus how to tell them apart from normal aging. And if you've made it this far in the video, I want to take a moment to say, you're already doing something powerful. By educating yourself, by caring enough to notice, to listen, and to act, you are taking the first and most important step toward protecting your brain, your independence, and the people you love most. Dementia isn't something that happens overnight. It's a gradual shift that begins quietly, sometimes invisibly, until one day the signs become too loud to ignore. But here's what most people don't realize. The earlier you recognize it, the more you can do about it. Early detection opens doors to treatments, therapies, safety planning, and emotional support that simply aren't available once the condition has advanced. If you've noticed any of the signs we've discussed, whether in yourself, a parent, a spouse, a neighbor, or a close friend, don't wait. Talk about it, gently, compassionately, and without fear. Start by keeping a written record of what you observe. Encourage a visit to a primary care provider. Explore memory screenings or cognitive health evaluations. These are not overreactions. They are responsible, loving steps that could lead to answers, relief, and the chance to take action while there's still time. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, know this: you're not alone. Millions of families around the world are navigating the very same journey. There are doctors, social workers, neurologists, support groups, and organizations like the Alzheimer's Association that are ready to help you. The support is out there. You just have to reach for it. If you're a senior trying to make sense of recent memory changes, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You are not losing it. You are still you. Your story matters, and it's never too early or too late to take charge of your cognitive health. Talking to your doctor is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength.